Hey guys, it's Casey from Crochet with Casey, and here is my tutorial on my crochet beat pattern. First things first is get your hook size. I like to use a 6.5mm with my Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles Lite yarn. I always try to go a little bit under the recommended hook size per the yarn because it makes your stitches look better. I am using the white, yellow, black. The names of the actual yarn will be linked below, and I love this yarn so much. If you're a beginner, I recommend doing Bernette blanket yarn. It doesn't shed as easy, but Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles Light is very, very pretty at the very end, so I just power through. To help stop the shedding, light the end of it on fire and like smush it together. It kind of holds it in place. You still gotta be careful with it, but it works. Starting off with a magic circle, pinch it in between your fingers, wrap it once around your finger, and then the second time you're wrapping it around, you want to make an X. And then I like to hold the tension between my ring and my pinky finger. Now take your hook and insert it underneath both threads, and you want to loop the second one that you made the X with under. And then after you do that, you are going to hook the yarn in between your ring and pinky finger and pull it through to make a chain. Once that it's secure, I reposition my fingers so I could start going on with my single stitches, which are going to be through the loop right here. So you're going to insert through the loop, hook over, have two on, yarn over, and go through for one single stitch, and you're going to do that 6 times. Again, you are going to go in between the magic circle, you're going to yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again and pull it through. I am going to try to have this in real time, so if it's too slow for you, just skip ahead. If it's still a little bit too fast for you, feel free to pause whenever. You're going to pull tight with loops and thread. Just be very careful. You can always do the chain 2 method, which I will be showing at the end of this video during the wing tutorial. So now what I would like to show you is how to actually look for the stitches with this yarn, because we are going to be doing increases next. Each one of these little bumps that you see is a stitch. So as you see, there is 5 and 6. I was counting as we were going along. So you're going to insert through the first loop, and you are also going to try to weave in the ends. So that's just kind of like making it go along. Just push that little string along the edge. So you're going to do your 1 stitch and your 2 stitch in the same one. So that's 2, and then again in the next stitch do 2. You're doing a single stitch increase in each stitch across. So instead of 6, you're going to be ending with 12. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I always try to count the bumps afterwards. I personally do not like to use stitch markers because I'm chaotic. I definitely recommend using them, especially if you're newer, but each bump you see is a stitch. It's way easier to see if you're using acrylic or cotton, which I will be making another video how to make my bee keychains and much more, so you can see. So now we are doing a single stitch in the first one and an increase in the second one, which again is 2 single stitches in the same loop, and we are going to do that pattern all the way around to make 18 stitches. So that was 4, 5, and there's 5, and another one to make your increase for 6, and continue this pattern all the way around until you get to 18. So this is our last round of adding increases. So we're going to do single stitch, increase all the way around until we get to 24. (22, 23, 24). So now that we finished that, we are going to do 24 single stitches for 2 rounds. So we're going to go around twice to make 48 technically, but it's only 24 for each row. So you're doing 2 rows, single stitch each time. And I'm kind of showing you how I'm keeping my tension is in between these fingers. I know everybody does something a little bit different. You can also get a ring that I've seen that gone viral on Instagram. And definitely I recommend, if you are not using your stitch marker, to go all the way around and double check that you have 24 stitches, because it is very important to finish our bee. I am also going to speed up the rest of this video just so you don't watch me doing the same thing over and over again, but it's just one single stitch in each stitch for 2 rows. And then when you hit your last stitch, either your second round of the 24, or if you count how I count, on number 48, you're going to stop and not loop all the way through. (46, 47, 48). Now stop, don't loop it over. We're gonna just drop it. We're gonna pick up our black because we are now color changing into N48, or the second row of 24, whichever way you're counting. You're going to loop that black on to finish it. So now we have successfully color changed, and we are going to do our first round of the black to make the first stitch in the bee. So again, you're going to lay the end of the black down to weave it in as we go along, because it's just easier in the long run. So now we're going to do 10 single stitches of the black. So lay it down. I also lay down one time with the yellow underneath, and then I drop the yellow and I don't touch it again until the next round. So that was 1. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we are going to make our first leg on the bee, and to do that you are going to chain 4. I found a cat hair, ignore that, I apologize, but chain 4, and then after you chain 4 you are going to slip stitch 4 back down, which in each little bump you are going to hook through, loop it over, and pull through both. You are not going to yarn over like you do for a single stitch. You're going to just pull through both times. So that was 1. Here's 2, and then again go through the bump. This one was a little trickier for me, so I apologize. Black's a little harder to work with. And then pull it through, and then the 4th one is going to be through that 10th stitch, and you're still doing a single stitch. And now you're going to do 4 more single stitches, working like normal. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, you are making another little leg. It's going to be your second leg. Chain 4, and then you are going to do 4 single stitches all the way down again, and that fourth one will be a slip stitch back into the body. You did your 4 slip stitch, you're going to do 10 single stitches working all the way through back to the end, and then again once you will hit the 24th stitch you stop before you loop it all the way through. Okay, color changing again, so we're going to drop the black, we're not going to touch it, and we are going to pick up our yellow and hook over and pull through for that 24th stitch to successfully color change again. And so now we are going to go all the way around doing 24 single stitches, and I will show you how to work around the legs because that was a tricky part for me when I was first beginning. There's 9, and this last one should be 10. This is where you are now going to stop. That bump is part of the leg, and then this other little bump over here is 11. So you're going to go and hook through that one and do a single stitch and continue going on. So that was 11, here's 12, 13, and this one also 14 stops. That will be before the leg, and then 15 is on the other side of the leg in this little hump. So there's 15, and then you are going to just continue working around until you get to your 24th stitch. You're going to stop the very last loop. You are going to drop your yellow and hook on your black. Okay, so now you're going to stop, drop your yellow, pick up the black, yarn over, and hook it through. So now we are going to successfully color change again, and what I like to recommend is when you don't know which loop to put it through because there's black and yellow right here, it's going to go in between, mainly in the yellow one. So again, we are going to do now 11 single stitches because we want the legs to line up, so it's going to be 11 single stitches. Here's 10, and last one, 11. So now we are going to chain 4 because it's lined up. We want them to be perfectly straight and cute. So chain 4, and then you're going to do 4 slip stitches all the way down again, the last one being into the body. Right, and did our last slip stitch, and then we're going to do 4 single stitches. Each time we are doing the legs, you want them to be 4 single stitches apart. Technically, they're only 2, but I always count 4 because it's easier. So there's your 4th one. Now we are going to chain 4 again. Once we finish that, we are going to slip stitch 4 all the way down, working into the body. And then when you're done with that, we are going to be doing 9 single stitches. And again, on that very last one, we stop, drop the black, and pick up the yellow. You're now going to go more on the black part to do your first single stitch in the yellow yarn, and we are going to do 24 single stitches all the way around. Doing the bee is very easy, not complicated at all, and so it will kind of get a little tiring after a little while because it is very repetitive, but it is such an easy pattern to begin with when you have no idea what you're doing in the very beginning. So now we're going to stop here. That was 11. We're going to go look on the other side right there. There's 12. Going to hook it through and then pull through to continue on. I always recommend using a stitch marker. I like chaotic crocheting. I don't know why. I personally hate using a stitch marker, but if you are brand new to doing this, use a stitch marker. I know I did, and then as I became more comfortable with what I'm doing, I stopped doing the stitch marker because I like it. I like it better just going with the flow. So you're going to go all the way around, finish your 24th stitch, and then again drop it, yarn over with the black, and it is our last row of doing the black. You can already see the body forming up really nice. This is what the inside looks like. I got the little few in the beginning because I don't know what happened, so I stitched my front together, but count if you're not using stitch marker, or if you are using a stitch marker, count. Always make sure you have 24, and we are going to go all the way around with our black one last time. So we are now going to do 12 single stitches, and then we are going to do our chain 4, then slip stitch down, then the 4 stitches, and then chain 4 and slip stitch down, and only doing 8 single stitches after that. I do plan on having this pattern written in my Etsy shop by the weekend, but I am so excited. So if you guys have been interested in any more videos, just let me know. I am going to be posting a bunch. I had a few people from my last few markets ask me to do a couple videos, so I will be showing how to make a straight line to like make squares and rectangles and stuff like that, kind of for tapestries or even coasters. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe, and definitely let me know what you would like to see. Okay, so now this is our last time we are going to be color changing. You are going to hook it through, and then you cut it. I break mine off, not very good. It has been like slicing my finger a little bit, so I definitely recommend cutting it. And then you are going to be working that into the body how we have the last few times. Just hug it close as you do the next stitches. So we are not doing 24. We are now going to do a decrease. So we are going to do a single stitch here and then a decrease in the next one. So just one regular single stitch, and then a decrease is where you hook it through, yarn over, and instead of yarning over here, you're going to go through the next loop, yarn over to have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to loop over and pull through all 3. And that is a decrease. So now for the next one, that was 2. Number 3 and 4 is going to be a single a single stitch, and then you're going to do 1 decrease for 5. That was 1 or 3. Here's 4. Your second decrease now, so hook through, Now loop over and pull through for 5. And then another one, single stitch for 6, single stitch for 7, decrease for 8. And now once you get to the leg, that will be number 9. I'm not liking the way this is looping in, so I will just pull it through later on. But so 9 is going to be before the leg, 10 will be single stitch after the leg, just as before when we were going around with our 24. So now, I forgot what number we were on, but you're not going to loop over, you're going to go through to decrease, to have 3 on your hook, and then pull through. And then you're going to do your single stitch on one side of the foot, on the other side of the foot, you're going to do a single stitch, and then you're going to do another decrease. So you're going to hook through, and then yarn over and pull through all of them. And then you're going to do a single stitch, and your last decrease of this round. So you're going to hook through, and that is 17, and the last one to make 18 is just one single stitch, so that means the whole pattern all the way around was single stitch, decrease. To me personally, I think this just looks better instead of starting off with 2 single stitches and ending with a decrease. I don't know why, I just like it. Moving on to eyes. So normally with eyes, I like to do safety eyes. These are the safety eyes that I like to use. I get them off of AliExpress. They have interchangeable eye colors. They look like this. I will put a link down in my description below. And this bee has pink. I have some with green, some with purple, but the bee that I'm making right now is going to be baby safe, meaning that I'm going to be embroidering them on because safety eyes are not safe for babies under kids under the year, or they're not recommended for under 3 years old. So I'm going to embroider them on, but when you place in your eyes, you want them to be 3 rows before the black. But we are going to get on, so we're going to do a single stitch, decrease, single stitch, decrease all the way around until you hit 12 stitches. So that was 1, and here's your decrease for 2, and then another single stitch for 3. 4 is a decrease, which is pull through, loop over, and pull all the way through. So that's 4, and you are gonna continue to do that all the way through. Now that you hit your 12 stitches, this is where I personally like to stuff. You can stuff before you did this last row, but to me it's easier. Always before you actually start putting it in your plushie, you want to fluff it up a little bit so there's no chunks or hard pieces in certain spots, and then just stuff accordingly. I kind of just pack it in there, and then you'll see later on in the video that I will kind of form a circle, like pulling it apart to put it into places closer on the edge, and then stuff in that circle. And then you also want to either close your eyes or look away from the plushie and just feel it with your hands. Pack it pretty decently. You don't want to like squish your stuffy and then it lose its shape because there wasn't enough stuffing, but you also don't want to pack it so much that it's like kersploding out the end, which in this video I kind of did a little bit do that. So you did see me stitch it at the end to put his butt back together, but I was not going to give up. He was going to have that amount of stuffing. I think my tension was just a tiny bit off, to be honest, but this is where I'm feeling him with my hands, not looking with my eyes, seeing where I needed to place it, and then we are going to head on and finish with the last row. Okay, last row is doing a decrease all the way around until you hit 6 stitches. So you're just going to push, or you're going to loop all the way over, and then you're going to go insert your hook through the first stitch, loop, second stitch, loop, and then loop through all 3. And you're going to do that all the way around until you get 6 stitches. Now that we are done with all of the rows, I'm a heathen and I'm just going to rip it, but make sure you cut it or be heathen and rip it. And you're going to fasten off, which just pull it all the way off. I found out with loops and threads, since it does shed, you can see right there, do not use a needle. You are going to just use your hook and go through the first stitch right there and just pull it all the way through. We are going to be closing the B, and normally I like to do this with a needle with acrylic yarn, but do not do this with loops and threads. It is just going to shed and fall apart, and it's going to be making your life miserable. So just keep going through each single stitch, looping that single thread all the way through it, and then once you go through all 6 of the bumps, you are going to pull tight, which I just realized I did not do my last decrease, so I got 7 bumps, but they're not going to notice. So again, be careful, it's shedding a lot. Pull through as tight as you can. And then I like to insert the hook through one side and then loop it over to close, and just kind of watch what I'm doing here. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm just going by eye and looping through. You just don't want to like go across all of different loops. You only want to go into the next single stitch to make it look nice still. The best thing about crochet is it has holes everywhere, so you can always add more stuffing later if you feel like you didn't do enough. But I am going to come here and take care of him. I didn't think I did as well as I did, but I looped it pretty good, so I'm just going to tuck him in there. And he sheds so much, so I'm just going to be ripping and pulling him apart to get the rest of the yarn off to see if he is stuffed well. I like to squeeze them to see if they hold their shape, and this one's looking pretty good. I did feel there was a bump somewhere right here, so I am going to insert the hook through and kind of spread it out a little bit. And now we are going to do the wings. So now we are doing the chain 2 method for the wing. I personally like to use magic circles, but I wanted to show you guys how to use the chain 2 method. So what you are going to be casting on if you knit, otherwise just watch the video to see how I did it. And you are now going to yarn over, pull through, and then again yarn over, pull through. That's the chain 2 method. And now you're going to go into that first chain and do 4 single stitches. I accidentally did 5, but only do 4 single stitches. For the magic circle, so I apologize. I did do 5. Don't do that. Just do 4 single stitches and then wait until the next round. So you want to count, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I accidentally had 6. So again, make sure you only did it 4 times because the chain 2 counts as the 1. So now you're going to do an increase in every single stitch, just like we did with the bee. Increase is 2 single stitches in each stitch until you get 10. So the reason why I don't like the chain 2 method, which one, it doesn't make sense in my brain sometimes, but it leaves that little gap and I don't like it. But whatever is easiest for you, go ahead and do you. I know so many people cannot do a magic circle, so don't feel bad about it. So now we're going to do 1 single stitch and then increase in the next one to make 3, and you're going to go all the way around until you do 15. So there's 4. Next one is an increase, there's 5, 6. We're going to go again with single stitch, there's 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11, 12, single stitch, 13, last increase, 14, 15. And that's it for one wing. Now cut it or break it. And we are going to do the next one. Before that, pull it all the way through to fasten off, and then I like to go in that first single stitch and then pull it through again just to make it a little bit more flush and a little bit more secure. But now make your second wing, and when you break it, you want to make sure that the tail is long enough because we are going to be using it. Okay, so I sped up and skipped over the second one just because I didn't want to waste so much time. So now you have 2 wings, the exact same size. I use a magic circle for the second one and a chain 2 for the first one, and now we're going to actually be sewing it, not technically sewing it, we're going to be like crocheting it into the body, so we are not sewing it. So you're going to go through 2 stitches and then loop on to the next one and push it all the way through 1 stitch, and then you're going to take that tail and yarn over and pull through most of it. You're not going to pull through that last white stitch, and then you're going to yarn over again like a single stitch. And then again, we are going to go into the next stitch in the first wing, go through 2 stitches in the body. I am trying to cover up where you can see our color changes, and then a single stitch in the next one, and then pull all the way through. I don't know why I was having difficulty here, but it's okay. Pull all the way through, and then you're going to yarn over again, and then pull all the way through again. So last time we were going to go through a single stitch in the wing, 2 single stitches in the body, and then a single stitch in the next wing, and then yarn over, pull through, and then just like a single stitch, go all the way through. It's a little bit different. You can sew this on if that's what you were used to. I personally don't like to sew it on, but this is how I do it. And now pull the tail all the way through, pull it snug, and then I like to go into a stitch kind of close to the wings and have both of those 2 tails come through that 1 stitch because I am going to tie them together and then hide them in the body. Okay, so now after you're done hiding it, check over your bee. This is where you would be done. I am going to be cutting that little piece off. But this is where you'd be done if you use safety eyes, or if you didn't use safety eyes, glue on your eyes that you made with the Cricut or bought from somebody made with the Cricut, or felt eyes, or whatever you're going to do with the eyes. But I am going to be embroidering here, so I will be back to show the finished product. So here we are, Bella the Bee is done. Like and subscribe, you guys. Let me know what else you would like to see. Thanks so much.